Okay, guys. So in the first part of this session number 3, chapter number 3, business external environment, as you can see from this table here, Master of Business Administration, Strategic Management, ST106. We are in chapter number 3, session number 3, and it's part number 2. So as we finish our first part, we end that part with Porter 5 forces. Don't forget at all, Porter 5 forces at micro level of your business sector. What are the main Porter 5 forces that interrelated and working in the same industry? It's as following: threat of a new entrant, threat of substitutes, bargaining power of suppliers and buyers and suppliers, vice versa, and existing competitors. So we have 5 interrelated companies, forces working together at the same time and interrelated and overlapping in one difficult and complicated relationship. Let's scan that factors or that element. See, we can see that, just to remind you again, in part number 2, we talk about an introduction of this chapter. We analyze macro environment, and now we are dealing with Porter 5 forces. Then we move to Porter's diamond. At the end, we will have a case study, generally speaking, to discuss, and will be discussed in depth more in online meeting. Okay, guys, just now I will show you general information about that case. Right. So we start analyzing the first force, which is power of competitive rivalry between existing players. Look at this word here. Companies and competitors of the same industry. Competitors who are working in this industry, not in all industries, only in this specific industry which you are working in. Textile industry, for example, or let's say construction one, or let's say in car industry, manufacturing car industry, etc. So we have one specific industry, and we have some existing players fighting, negotiating, and struggling to get the best market share of this business. There are many players of about the same size that affect the power of existing players. When the players have similar strategies, then the power and the struggle will be more and more. When there is not much differentiation between the players, when they are similar and maybe producing the same, products, and they have similar strategies, so there is more fighting between them. When there is low market growth, when market is growing, then market share is more and more, and all people satisfied, all companies satisfied and working well. But when there is a recession and decline industry or decline economy, then all competitors, all parties are suffering and struggling to survive and stay in market. Is that right? Is that right? Barriers for exit are high. When barriers for exit are high, what does that mean here? Some companies who are working in this industry, and one of those players, let's say we have 5 players. Let's suppose we have 5 players. These players want this competitor want to get out of market, but there are many barriers he can or it can get out of this market. Then he should stay or it should stay in this market and struggle more and more with others. Then the power of struggling and negotiation and suffering will be more and more difficult. It will become more and more complicated because barriers of exit are high. Because barriers of exit are high. Right. Then, threat of a new entrance. Threat of a new entrance. Another factor or another dimension, new entrance. Okay, let's say in car industry, let's say in Syria, for example, let's suppose in Syria, we have 4 many players, for example, 4 many players of car industry, 4 many players. They are fighting and struggling together in this market, in this car industry. But let's say in 2022, there are more, let's say another 4 car players or 4 car manufacturers coming to Syrian market. And we got here 4 plus 4, they become 8. 4 plus 4, they become 8. They become 8. 8 many players. So what will happen, guys? More competition, more struggle, more fighting, more, let's say, lower market share for each one. They were 4, they become 8. So this is the threat of a new entrant, newcomer to the market. And this affected by, this factor, power and impact, affected by the following, let's say, indicators or dimensions. Brand loyalty of customers, scarcity of important resources, raw material, distribution channel, protected intellectual property, investment and fixed costs, economic of scale. So all those factors are affected by and make life easier or more difficult for those business. Then number 3, power number 3, bargaining power of suppliers. Bargaining power of suppliers. Bargaining power of suppliers. So this is your business. This is your competitors here. You are working, let's say, in sweet industry. Suppliers provide this industry, for example, with sugar, powder, flour, Coke, etc. All these testy issues for sweet industry. Now my question to you, when suppliers become strong, the question now, when suppliers become strong or weak against you and another competitors, when market dominated by few large suppliers, they are monopolizing. Do you know what the meaning of monopolization? Monopolization, that a few companies that control this business, this is only a few, 1, 2, 3, only suppliers of this material. This is monopolization or oligopoly. There is no substitute. You can't substitute this material. For example, we are working in sweet industry, but we do need sugar. We can't substitute it. It's a sweet industry, and the main issue is the main input is sugar. The suppliers' customers are fragmented. The switching costs from one supplier to another are high. There is possibility of the suppliers integrating forward, obtain higher prices and margins. Right? So, as we mentioned, there are specific environments that make your life more difficult and more complicated. When few suppliers monopolize this industry. Okay, guys? Excellent. Threat of substitutes. Another one is the threat of substitutes. Is number 4, and there are some indicators that affect this power or this impact. Brand loyalty of customers, the relationships, switching costs of customers, price for performance of substitutes, current trends. But I will stop at this word here. What's the meaning of switching cost? Think about it. What does that mean? If your customer wants, you are here, you are the shop, or let's say a company here, your company here. Your customers want to leave you and move to another supplier. Is this costly for him? Does this cost him a lot or just a few? This is the question. So if your customer has high cost, then he will not leave you. He will stay with you. He get back to you. But if he can, and easy, and less cost, he can move, or he might move to another one. This is switching cost, or replacing and changing supplier. So this is number 4. Let's go ahead to number substitutes. We didn't talk about substitutes. What's the meaning of substitutes? This one is here. Substitute, sorry. We talk about threats of new entrants, bargaining power of suppliers, and bargaining power of buyers, and here threat of substitutes. Okay. So as we said, there are 5 forces. Again, we get back to the model. Number 1, threat of new entrants, bargaining power of buyers. Number 3, bargaining power of suppliers. Number 4, and threat of substitutes. 5. Number 5. Right? Agree, guys? Very good. We go ahead, guys, to the second one. To the second, let's say, the second item which we talk about today, which is Porter Diamond. So we discussed many issues at national level, or let's say at sector level, or at business sector level. Construction level, construction sector, car sector, chemical sector, textile sector, food industry, banking, hotels, etc. All this as Syrian state, at Syrian level. Right? Agree? Okay. Let's now talk about Porter Diamond at national level. Porter emphasized and focused on determinants of national advantage at country-specific determinants. He mentioned that there are 4 determinants that let's say that make competitive advantage of this country. For example, when I say Japan, when I say Germany, what comes to mind? Quality, famous brand, accuracy, made in Germany, made in Japan, something very nice and interesting and with high quality. So this at national level, when I mention a country or a state. Okay, so Porter said that there are 4 factors. They are working like diamonds. They are like diamonds. Like diamonds, there are 4 main factors. So context for firm's strategy and driverly, demand conditions, factor and input conditions, related and supporting industries. All those factors that identify Porter Diamond at national level. At national, like let's say, make your state or your country have a specific competitive advantage, specific competitive and sustainable competitive advantage. So, for example, listen here. You can see here. You can tell. In terms, for example, I will give some examples only. In terms of, let's say, factors input, we have here human resources, capital resources, natural resources. For example, in Syria, before this difficult and critical war in Syria, against Syria, we have a high and great indicators of resources and health and security and income, human resources, educated people, very nice and intelligent people everywhere, physical infrastructure, railroad, was very, very successful and very, let's say, how to say, very successful and very competitive country in different factors and variety of indicators. Variety of indicators. Okay, guys? You agree with me? Right. In terms of factor of input factors. In terms, for example, demand condition. When we have sophisticated and demanding local customers, specialized segments, we anticipate this demand at national level, more demand on a specific industry, make it more complicated and make it more sophisticated, and support and motivate this industry to how to say to get promoted and to develop and go ahead more and more with higher competition. Okay, let's read and summarize that factors conditions. For example, capital of resources, banking and finance, national and nation's infrastructure. All these support industry to go ahead and achieve competitive advantage, right? Quality and accessibility and cost of nation's physical resources, very important issue. We go ahead then, we can see demand conditions. Demand conditions, the nature of demand for products or service at home, and degree of sophistication of buyers. Growth of demand. The higher the growth of this demand, the higher more competition and more development and motivation for companies to work hard in this sector or in this specific sector. Agree, guys? Right. Mechanism through which domestic demand is internationalized, nationalized. This as well affects this power demand condition. We go ahead to see related and supporting industries. More players and suppliers of related industries, cluster of industries working, let's say, in industrial zone, clusters of, let's say, specific industries working in specific areas support more and more a development of industry. Presence, for example, as presence of internationally competitive suppliers create advantage and in downstream industries. All of us, we agree on this and we support this. Then we have firm strategy and structure and rivalry. The domestic rivalry of firms and the conditions governing how companies are created, organized, and managed. Do you remember, let's say before war, more and more feminist companies, they are gathering together and establish limited companies and registered with industry and the stock Damascus stock exchange, registering their limited companies, and they developed their structure to become formal and better and best companies in Syria. This as well indicates the ways in which firms are managed and choose to compete. Domestic rivalry and creation and persistence of competitive advantage so we have another two factors. So there are another two factors, outside factors, that affecting the competitiveness of the nation. In addition to Porter Diamond four forces, the rule and chance of caused by development, the various rules of government, those another two factors that are playing with Porter Diamond, making diamond at national level, At the end of chapter 3, we have indicated and mentioned some reference. We wish you to get back to this and to read some of them. They are very important. Listen, look at this one of Porter. How information gives competitive advantage, creating and sustaining superior performance, competitive advantage. What is the strategy for of Porter, 1996? Porter, competitive advantage of nation, which we talk about in 1998. So please get back to that one and read about them. At the end of this chapter, we mentioned and we shed light on case study 3, Al-Badia Company, a very, very famous and interesting company working in Syria. The plant, which is established by an international contracting company specialized in cement factories. The key equipment were imported from prominent European companies to ensure the highest level of product quality, energy, safe, and environmental protection in accordance with local and international standards. The plant began production during the year 2011, and you need I will after I show you some information, get back to the textbook in chapter number 3, using the internet and the company record and some another reference, maybe meetings, some interviews, describe the company macro environment, conduct pistol analysis, analyze Al-Badia company market position using Porter 5 forces. So please work on that, let's say, point till we meet online. This is offline preparing for this point. Please, each one of you listen to me. Listen to me to this recorded session now. Start preparing and thinking about that pistol analysis and describe the macro environment at national level for Al-Badia cement company, and analyze Porter 5 forces that Al-Badia working in. At the end of each session, we show you summary of each chapter. So today we talk about business environment. In this chapter, we talk about business environment, which means all factors and players and surrounding your business and playing with your business in the same market and affecting your business. We said that this is your business. We have micro and macro environment. In terms of macro environment, we said that we have pistol analysis, political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal environment. Right? Political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal environment. Then we analyze Porter 5 forces. We said that there are 5 forces: existing players, a new entrant, existing player, new entrant, buyers, suppliers, and substitutes. Then we discuss Porter diamond. We talk about Porter diamond as well in section number 1, 2, 3, 4. We talk about Porter diamond at national level. Finally, we discuss, or we illustrate, or let's say we shed light on Al-Badia company, and we will be discussing this with you in our online section. And that's all for today. We thank you very much for your attention and for your keeping listening with us. And that's all. And we are moving to session we will move to company internal environment. This is the end of chapter number 3, which was talking about external environment. And in chapter number 4, we're gonna talk about business internal environment. Agree, guys? Okay, thank you very much. Let's go ahead, have a break, and let's move to chapter number 4, which will talk about business internal environment.